The Astros salvage a game and avoid the sweep in Kansas City. And losing 2 out of 3, they still gained ground and pulled further in front of the Mariners and the Rangers on this edition of Locked On Astros.
Alvarez hits a high drive center field. Beer leans back. This game is turned upside down. There's the runner. Fly ball down the right field line. Tucker comes on. Kyle Tucker. This time they finish the job.
Hello and welcome to Locked On Astros, your daily Astros podcast. Here are your hosts, Eric the Man Huysman and Brett Htown Wheelhouse Chancey.
We are Locked On Houston Astros, and we hope that you join us for a daily Locked On Astros podcast. My name is Eric Huysman. You can find me on Twitter at Eric Talks Stros. Find the show at Locked On Astros, your team every day. Brett, where can you find you at?
They can find me at Htown Wheelhouse on Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. They can find me at Stros411 on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Always positive, always Stros.
Guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. And contrary to popular opinion, we do not just do podcasts after wins. We've done more than 84 podcasts this year, just putting out there. But we are glad that you are become an everyday or somebody that joins us Monday through Friday to just talk Houston Astros, because you've become part of the Locked On Astros Nation family. And whether it's on YouTube, go and hit subscribe. Go and make us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast, because we do appreciate it and we do see you out there, guys. And today's episode is brought to you by Sleeper. Swing for the fences on Sleeper picks, and you can win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use the promo code Locked On, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. So I'm going to go out there and say that the Astros are sleeping on some of these teams with 100 losses. So we'll definitely have to talk about that, because they went, 2-4 in the last 6 games versus the A's and the Royals. But they did gain some ground in AL West no matter what. You're going to mention some good stats about the relief pitchers. And also we got the Baltimore Orioles coming in town. And there's been a new addition to a modification of the ballpark. And we'll definitely talk about that on this podcast.
Yeah, look, going into Kansas City, you really wanted to take this series. I really thought they would get 2 out of 3. I honestly thought they were going to sweep them, just because the first game was against Zach Greinke. I mean, he was still in batting practice. In that second inning, you had bases loaded and you failed to get a run across and you got beat. Right. Second game comes across and it was a slugfest. It was 10-8. There's no reason why a 100-loss team should be putting up double digits on a team like the Houston Astros, but that's kind of the year it's been. And so coming into Sunday, Eric, you had to have your pitcher, Framber Valdez, come out and deal, come out and throw a gem. And look, he's been really consistent lately. I know he's given up some runs here or there, but in 9 of his last starts, in 7 of his last 9 starts, he's gone 7 innings or longer. And in one of those, he went 9 innings and threw a no-hitter. And so he did a great job today, Eric. He was missing bats. He was spinning the ball. And we got some comments here from Framber Valdez and what he was doing, what he was trying to do. But he salvaged this win. He helped extend their lead today. And like mentioned in the comments, we could be up by 4 games right now at this point.
Right.
But unfortunately, we're not. We're a game and a half over the Rangers and 2 games over the Mariners. And that's just kind of how it goes right now. Actually, 2.5 games over the Mariners. So 1.5 games over Texas, 2.5 games over the Mariners. So at least we're on top, but we got to keep winning, because it doesn't get any easier. But maybe the Orioles, being a difficult team, will play a little bit better ball and play better at home. So tell me some more about Framber Valdez and what he did today.
Well, overall, it was a much better outing for him. It was a 7-1 victory. He had been throwing the changeup just 15% 80% of his time before Sunday. And he said he did throw his changeup a lot on Sunday. He used it this way. He said he used it in a lot of situations when he thought it was necessary. So he threw some sinkers like at 95.4. He was reaching like 94, 95. And Framber Valdez says, I wasn't trying to throw too hard today. I was throwing 94, 95, 93 a couple times. I just didn't want to force the arm. Didn't want to go too hard and just focus on throwing my pitches and executing them. And Dusty Baker said, well, what about his he was asked about Valdez's velocity being down. He says, no, not really. A lot of times a sinker ball pitcher, when their velocity's up, you're more worried about location and movement. But when the velocity's down a little bit, it gives the ball time to work versus when you're throwing hard. You end up throwing through the sinker, through the break. So no, it doesn't matter as long as he gets them out. So I think what we've been seeing is that recently he's been struggling. He's been probably trying to muscle the ball, trying to throw faster, and he's losing that movement. But in today's game, he induced 9 swings and misses on 43 total swings against him. 6 swings and misses were against his cutter, which averaged 88.4 miles per hour compared to a season average of 85 miles per hour. So he's just was changing some things up, and it's good to see him doing this before the playoffs and versus game 1 of the ALDS or the wild card series, whatever the Astros. I mean, it seems like the whole AL West, nobody wants to win it. It's like, oh, you get it. You got it. Oh, you get it. You get it. No,
Especially
seriously, you get it.
Especially the Mariners. They're right now currently if the playoffs were today, they'd be out. Tampa is a top wild card spot, followed by Toronto and then Texas. So right now, Seattle's on the outside looking in. They're a full game out of the wild card. So they're not even in the playoffs right now as we speak. That could change. 7 of their last 10 games are against the Rangers, and we play them for 3 games in Seattle. I really hope those games go well. But yeah, and we talked about this before. We talked about this with Mike Stanton about Framber Valdez, and Framber's talks about it, and we've mentioned it on this show before, that when he doesn't overthrow, when he doesn't try to do too much with it, he's actually better in control. And Greg Maddux said when he learned how to locate pitches, when he learned that it wasn't about velocity, but it was about location and executing a pitch, that's what took Greg Maddux to the next level. But now, since we're on the whole thing about pitching, right? I looked into Brian Abreu and Rafael Montero, who was my favorite relief pitcher last year. Brian Abreu, Eric, hasn't allowed a run since July 15th. That's 21 and 2/3 innings. And he's only allowed 3 runs since June 24th. Brian Abreu is on an absolute tear right now. Hector Neris has gotten a little shaky lately, but for the most part has been very stellar. Looks like he's going to get paid as a free agent this next year. And then Rafael Montero. In May and June, he gave up 24 runs. Batters hit against him 366 in May, 313 in June. Then let's fast forward to July, August, and September. The league was hitting 132. He only gave up 3 runs in July. The league was hitting 227. He only gave up 3 runs in August. And in September, the league's hitting 208 and he's only given up 1 run in September. So his pre-All-Star break numbers, 6.57 ERA, 28 earned runs, 30 runs, a 303 batting average. Post All-Star break, 2-0 with a 2.16 ERA, only 6 runs, all earned, but a batting average of 198. If Montero can lock it in, if we got Neris on the brink, if we got Abreu, and we got Presley, and Presley can do his thing on top of Framber figuring it out, and Justin Verlander gets locked in, I really like our chances. I really like what's going on with this relief pitching core, because I think it also will give the starters confidence when they get out there knowing that the relief pitchers got their back.
Yeah, I hope so. And I just feel like the Astros need to get healthy. They need to get confident. And that's something, and consistent. That's something that they have not been able to do all year. And the consistency is the thing that I'm the most concerned about at this point. And so you got to play better than 2-4 against sub 500 teams like the Orioles and the Royals and the A's. Sorry, not Orioles just clinched the AL East today, so they're not a sub 500 team. But you know what I mean. So, but I just think that they need to find out the right combination of lineups. We'll talk a little bit about lineups if we get to, and maybe some changes at home will maybe get the offense going. But this episode is brought to you by Jace Medical.
That's right. The Jace case provides to you 5 life-saving antibiotics for emergency use. All it takes is to get a Jace case is to fill out a simple online form, and in some cases, jump on a quick call with one of our board-certified physicians. Get ongoing care from our physicians on any treatment-related questions. Doctor created, doctor recommended. Don't be caught unprepared. Everyone should be empowered to care for themselves and loved ones during the unexpected. You and I know that, especially if you're in the Gulf Coast area, what happens when things shut down? What happens when things go wrong? What happens when services are cut off? Well, Jace Medical is here for you. Jace handles everything from online evaluation to licensed pharmacy medication delivery and ongoing consultation and care. You have got to check this out because you can save more than $360 by getting these life-saving antibiotics with Jace Medical, plus an additional $20 off by using my code LOCKEDON at checkout on jacemedical.com. That's JASE medical.com. Everyone should be empowered in times of need. Save $360 and get an additional $20 off at jacemedical.com. Use a promo code LOCKEDON.
The Astros will be playing the Orioles, a first place team in the AL East. They clinched the AL East today, I believe. So this will be a tough matchup, and Justin Verlander will be on the mound. So if you can't watch it, if you can't actually go to a game, go and check SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app on your app store and search Astros. You can hear all the play-by-play action there. So Brett, this is going to be an exciting series. I think that this is where the real Astros need to come to play, because this is a team that if you want to advance to the World Series, if you want to advance to eventually face the Braves, which is, I think, the team that's going to come out of the NL, I think that the Orioles are a tough team that you're going to have to face. So you need to show what you can do. Last year, we struggled against the Orioles. This year, it's been kind of a mixed bag a little bit, but I think that the Astros just need to kind of just go out there and just take care of business, starting with Justin Verlander. And then you have game 2, it's going to be Hunter Brown. Game 3, the Astros are bringing out the big dog. Big dog, TBA, is on the mound. And
you're going to do that.
It's probably not going to be Christian Javier, because he's been struggling a lot recently. So that makes you wonder who's coming up from AAA. So that's is this time where we see Spencer Arrighetti to maybe get a cup of coffee before the playoffs?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Dusty Baker said he would have to talk to the pitching coaches before he makes the final decisions. I have no idea what he's thinking. I still don't. To me, it doesn't compute the amount of time that Arrighetti's been in AAA to bring him up here for an important game, a series finale versus the Orioles. Now, you hope they jump on them early, Eric, because they're going to be a little hung over. I don't know if you saw, but Mike Elias, who's now their GM, former Astros executive, was taking a ton of beer from a beer bong in the room. They were getting lit in the locker room tonight after the game. They were celebrating. I mean, Elias, like, we've been waiting. You know, this has been years in the making. The last 2 years, we have been fighting hard for this, and they earned it. I mean, the AL East is where the big dogs are. The storied past of the Red Sox and the Yankees and the Rays, who are just a constant foe in that division, and the Blue Jays, and now the Orioles reign supreme there. So you hope that they come in town with a little bit hungover, a little bit, okay, we won the division. They don't really have anything else to play for. So maybe a lack of motivation plays into the Astros' favor. Justin Verlander does have to go out there because they've got a very talented young core, and you hope that their pitching is not on like it has been in the past against us. And so one of the things they just got to keep out of is they've got to keep out of situations where they put guys on base and don't bring them home. And that is always that has seemed to be one of the things, And this weekend or this week, someone sent me a picture while they were painting the Budweiser sign. Number one, is Budweiser getting some kickback on their investment? Are they getting a
You
little
can still see it.
discount? Or is it going to be a Heineken or some other beer that's going to be out there in center field? This is what I was wondering. Is there too much going on in center field? Is there too much distracting the hitters? And I know people say, well, it doesn't distract the away teams, and it sounds like we're making excuses. We heard anonymous sources, players who didn't want to speak because they wanted to remain anonymous about the batter's eye. I just wonder if it's been a gripe for a long time and the Astros have just ignored it because they've been so good in the past,
Right.
or if it's something that some of the newer players that have come on board are really frustrated by it and they're actually voicing that concern. I don't know if painting the outfield is going to be the difference. It's just simply going out there and executing.
Well, there's an article and they did talk about it. Dana Brown did address it. He said, guys have talked to us about the batter's eye, but at the end of the day, this team has been good with the same batter's eye last year and the year before. And so he suggested that there could be one or two tweaks that we can make that we talked about, but I don't think it's anything significant. I do think there's a minor adjustment in the view with a left-handed pitcher that we have talked about. All in all, this team has been successful without making adjustments to the batter eye. So I'm not so worried about it. So what changed? Players' feedback, and getting basically humiliated at Minute Maid Park against the A's. And
Right.
So I think that this is probably what happened. And Joe Espada said maybe at the end of the year, some players will think this, like they're talking about doing this. And Joe Espada was like, yeah, this is something I've heard players talk about, and maybe at the end of the year they'll address it, but maybe sit down, we can talk about it, but this is something that's not going to get done the next couple of weeks. But it did. So they literally just went out there and painted it. They did it, and it's fine. So what this is going to do is when there's a left-handed pitcher on the mound, you're going to be able to see the ball coming out at more of a, you're not going to see the red. You're going to see the green. So I think this will be very beneficial, but at the same time, it's going to be beneficial for the opposing hitters too. So I think it's going to be kind of two-way street there. So I think anything that makes the Astros more comfortable, for sure.
Yeah, and I had kind of jumped the gun. The Orioles clinching the East. They didn't necessarily clinch the East. They're only 2 games up on the East. They clinched a playoff berth.
Okay, yeah, that's what I thought.
I'm sorry. I got a little excited when I saw the clinched. I saw the logos. I was thinking it said AL East champions. It didn't. Sorry, Orioles. I was giving you a little bit more credit than maybe y'all deserve. So I do think, though, that they will clinch the East. I don't think Tampa will overtake them in that. But
just not quite yet.
Well, okay, so maybe they do have a little bit more motivation. They have clinched the playoffs, but they haven't clinched their division. So yeah. Look, the Orioles are going to be a tough team regardless of what the circumstances are. Again, catch them on the flight back. They celebrated. They're excited. Hopefully you can get them on their heels a little bit. Hunter Brown needs to go out and deal. Hunter Brown needs to go out and just pitch like he did last time, the 5 no-hit innings, continue to improve his stock, and then the relief pitchers come in and do their job. But on top of that, the big boys have got to answer. We've got some quotes about Kyle Tucker. He had rested, and Dusty had mentioned that he had been sick, and ever since he's come back, he hasn't really been himself. And so he wanted to rest him in Kansas City. He didn't want to rest him during the Baltimore series because he sees that it's very important. But you're going to have to jostle this lineup a little bit here and there.
Brett, 2 games versus the Royals isn't important, but the Orioles series is definitely important. So, I mean, that's kind of what Dusty Baker's saying here. And I understand
that's what he's right. That's what he's saying, because he was like, I was going to sit him. So do you want me to sit him against the Royals, or you want me to sit him against the Orioles? Is basically what he's telling us.
Yeah. Yeah. And it turned out okay. The Astros won 7-1 in this game. So it didn't matter. The Astros offense came alive. But Chaz McCormick said after the game, he said that was big. He wished you capitalized the last 2 games. We all do, Chaz. but that was kind of that was big to kind of keep our lead a little bit, even with our ups and downs we've been playing. So, but we still got to do a better job still. So, and even Framber Valdez said it doesn't feel good to lose those games, but the most important thing is that we're able to stay on top, stay in first place. It's going to happen. Sometimes the team is going to have lows, but it's very important to win the games that we need to win. Today's game was a need to win. You've got to win at least one freaking game against the Royals.
Yeah, I think coming home, you got 6 at home. I think the Astros can take care of business here. If the Astros, Eric, do go 4-2, they win both these series 2-3. I think you're going to put yourself in considerable distance in front of this team. Now, I do believe though that Seattle jumps into a series with the Oakland A's. Look, the Oakland A's can the Oakland A's can play spoiler.
Right.
I really hope they do. The further you bury the Mariners, the better it is, because you still have 3 games against the Mariners in Seattle. I don't want to be a game up on Seattle with 3 games in Seattle, because they have had our number during the regular season, although they're not playing their best ball right now.
Yeah, and you're going to have teams that want to be spoilers. That's what the Royals saw themselves. They're like, okay, we're not a good team. We have this history. And I said that before the series. I'm like, this is going to be a tough series because there's so much history between these two teams. And I'm not going to say the Astros were sleeping on the Royals or anything like that, but it feels like the first 2 games, the pitching wasn't quite all there. France tried to recover, but by that time it was too late. The offense tried to recover, but then you had some explosions in the bullpen. And so the Astros cannot sleep on the Orioles. They are a good team. And this episode is brought to you by Sleeper.
Yeah, that's right. The MLB playoffs are right around the corner, which means the clock is ticking on your chance for 100 times your cash on daily fantasy baseball. Baseball has never been more exciting than it is right now, with studs like Acuna, Betts, Yordan Alvarez, Chas McCormick, Jose Altuve. Need I say more? Pick more or less on stats from the stars like home runs, hits, strikeouts, stolen bases, and you'll get up to 100 times your payout on Sleeper. Get your picks and you could win big. That's right. You got to use a promo code Locked On and you'll get $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions do apply. And if I'm looking right now at MLB, I can go to games right now as we're talking that are live, and I can go to and I can find who is up, what's going on, and I can bet on various things. If I look at tomorrow, I see Pete Alonso is squaring off against the Miami Marlins, and it has here on home runs, it says it's 4.5 times what I would put out there if he hits 1 home run or more. And I could do that. I could take several players, put them together, and the payout is instant. I love it. Sleeper is great. It's fun. You can play with friends. So check it out today. Get 100 times your $100 match on your first deposit with the promo code Locked On. And don't forget that if you are going to go watch the game somewhere, go check out Hooters. Why? Because Hooters makes you happy. Great brew, great food, great service from the world famous Hooters girls, whether it's chicken tenders, whether it's wings, whether they're smoked or boneless or naked, or however you like your wings. Go check them out. On Mondays, it's buy one, get one wings. On Wednesdays, they have buy one, get one wings. Tuesdays, burgers and fries are $9.99. They have so many specials. Blue Moon drafts, $3, and $9.99 Michelob Ultra pitchers. And if you hang out with them on Thursday nights after Thursday Night Football, they have karaoke. They have happy hour till close. So make sure that when you go to Hooters, tell them that Locked On Astros sent you, and they'll give you a free basket of fried pickles.
All right, that's for sure, and that's our favorite place. I think we just went there the other day, and it's great. But guys, if you can't watch the game at Hooters and you can't actually go to the game, it's gonna be an epic matchup on Monday. It's gonna be Justin Verlander versus the Orioles. Go ahead and download the SXM app, Sirius XM, and just search Astros, and you'll find all the play-by-play action. So a couple of people have been asking, well, what's the exact changes? So I went ahead and brought up the picture that you sent me the other day, Brett. So this is what they're doing. They're literally just painting over the Budweiser sign there. and they're painting over that. So let me kind of show y'all a little bit more where that is. So that's right there. So that's in outfield. So what this is doing is that the hitters are seeing that red part and the brick part. So, but they're hoping that by painting this green, it's going to maybe give them a little bit more of a better viewing area when they're during the game. So we'll see. This could be all for nothing, but what else can it do? Maybe cut out some of that Budweiser Club section there, and maybe just put like extend the kind of ivy a little bit, do something like that.
I think they have too much going on in the outfield. I love standing out there. I've never sat in those actual Budweiser seats. I'll sit in the seats above the batter's eye, but I just think there's too much going on out there, to be quite honest with you. I mean, that center field, the seats need to be above that. I think it needs to be straight green background. I like the ivy wall, the little slanted wall they had when they had Taos Hill, and even when they removed it, they still had it. I just think it needs to be more consistent. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, because a team comes in here and they've never been here. And if it's that distracting, you wouldn't be able to see the ball at all. You'd be swinging and missing all night. But other teams put up 10, 12 runs on us. So I know a lot of people are like, well, hold on. Are they making excuses now? Are they saying this is why? The bottom line is they just don't execute on a consistent level. And I've been asked that. I was asked that today 3 or 4 times. I went to a Texans game today. That was not fun. It was, the seats were great. The hospitality I was shown was phenomenal. The people I met were great, but everybody was asking me, like, what's wrong with the Astros? And I said, I don't know. I think it's a combination of a lot of things. Someone said, you think because guys like Yuli aren't there and other guys aren't there? I said, I think it could be a myriad of things. I think it's new guys. I think it's old guys not there. I think some of it is Dusty doesn't always have that fire. He's kind of an old school manager. And maybe they're missing some spark here and there when they need it. Maybe they're missing that person to light their tail on fire when they need it. And it could be 10 different things slowly chipping away at either the confidence at the plate, they're overthinking it. And I said, at the end of the day, though, when we go to the playoffs, when we get to the playoffs, because I don't see us not making the playoffs,
right?
We turn things around, we turn things on. But this is the factor. We have played more playoff games and more games than any other team, and that's got to at least take some toll. I mean, that's got to get some credit here. Not making excuses. I just think there's a lot that you can factor in. It's not just one thing.
All right. So I think that we did mention that Kyle Tucker did sit in this game, and Dusty Baker said that he's been struggling. He wanted to play all the rest of the games, but it's kind of counterproductive. I could have given him a day off, like you said, in Baltimore, but then we have that run at the end all the way through the end. So today was the day. I've been wanting to give it to him for a long time because I see him struggling. I can see his head was down a little, and it's like, no, I've got to sacrifice one game for a possible 10 or 12 games. So he was on a 10 for 50 streak. He was batting 200 with 1 home run in September. He led the American League in runs batted in with 105, and was tied for the home runs with 27 with Alvarez until Alvarez hit the 28th today. By the way, Jake Myers hit a home run today too. But
he did, and a triple.
Right. He's still going to try to find some days off for some people, especially some of the guys that have been some of the older guys like probably Brantley and Altuve. But he said he would also like to find a day off for Bregman. But I don't know when that's going to be, because Bregman, it's so not just what he does offensively, but you can't find anybody on the current team that can play the defense he can at third base.
Well, Bregman's got the moxie. He probably tells Dusty, don't ever come to me and tell me I have a day off. Well, like to me, Bregman has a tinge of the old school player in him, right?
Right.
Nolan Ryan would absolutely get pissed if he got pulled before the 9th inning. He would be like, no, this is my game. I started it. I'm going to finish it. And if you watch that Finding Nolan movie, he talked about that. He owned that mound. That was his mound. And the only time he came off was when he felt hurt. I honestly wish more players would take that approach and say, you know what? I know it's a scheduled day off, but I'm feeling it right now. And I hit 2 home runs last night, and I'm good, Skip. Like, you want to rest me? Today's not the day. And that's what I want in this clubhouse. I'm sorry. I know, I respect Dusty Baker, but at some point, some of these players got to be like Bregman and say, sorry, dude, I'm playing. Like, I don't take a day off. Like, I'm trying to win a title here. I'm trying to win a game.
Right.
We're scrapping right now, and I'm not sitting while we're scrapping. I know that's probably not realistic, but I would love for that to be the case sometimes.
Jose Abreu has got his 10-year award. I mean, I guess whatever that means, but earned his
he earned his 10 years of service in Major League Baseball.
That's what it was. I couldn't take the word.
Meaning he's now fully vested,
Right,
and he gets the pension from Major League Baseball because he's been in the league for 10 years.
So my question is, as a 10-year vet, not to throw your glove at the freaking baseball, but that's what he did on Valdez's error.
Saw that.
So, I mean, it ended up working out okay, but that was kind of a situation. And some people are bringing up that Bregman does have errors. Yes, he has 15 errors. Yes, the Astros do make a lot of errors. And yes, the Astros probably have a lot of runs scored that on errors, walks, and stuff like that. But the Astros, I'm not worried about the defense once it comes postseason. I think this team is gonna. They're just. I don't know. They're just going through the ruts. They're just going through the. We just want to get to October, and that's really what is. They're just trying to get to October and where they can play real baseball. And I guess in their minds, the end of the season is not real baseball. Maybe in Dusty Baker's mind. This, like Jeremy Pena has been doing so good batting second, but he wasn't batting second today. So who knows?
But I think they know they're playing real baseball, though, Eric, because they've never been in a race like this in the last 6 years. This is the first true pennant race that they've been in where they haven't just been smoking the competition. So I think that's out the window this year. This year, they're like, holy crap.
Well, then why can't they win against? Why are they losing all these games against it? That's what I mean. I don't mean that they don't.
I think it's more fatigue. I really genuinely think it's fatigue. They just don't look as sharp. I mean, you and I both said that we're watching the game, like they just don't look like they have that just fire in them. And it's not that they don't want to win. It's that they have a lot of stuff at home. They do a lot of commercials. I'm sorry, maybe they need to do fewer HEB commercials. Maybe they need to do fewer fun things and do more baseball things and do more focus on that. But I've never been a pro athlete. I've never been a part of this organization. So I'm just speaking on what I think could be the issue.
Yes.
They do look tired, as James says.
Yes, definitely the series versus Orioles is going to be tough. They have John Means coming back. I think he's only thrown 5 innings. He's been out all season, but this is going to be an interesting matchup. Means was one of their up-and-coming aces for a few years there. But Justin Verlander is 11-8, 3.39 ERA. Means is 0-1 with 5.40 ERA. Not going to read too much into that. It's a small sample size. But what we do need to read into is which Justin Verlander is going to show up. Is it the guy that's going to give up 3 or 4 home runs, or is it the guy that's going to be lights out? And so we'll see what the batter's eye does in this series. We'll see if it's that much of an effect. If the Astros bats come out and just like go to town, we'll see. But I don't think that was it. I just think that there's something missing against this team. So we'll see what's going on here. So any closing thoughts, Brett?
Look, Astros just got to come home and take advantage of these guys coming off of a hangover and a time change, and hopefully they can catch them on their heels and get the first 2, then worry about the third one. If you don't get it, you get the series. You put yourself squarely more ahead of the competition. Just focus on winning and not what anybody else is doing, but what you're doing.
Yeah, and tomorrow's game will be on Sirius XM. Just download the SXM app and search Astros. You can hear all the play-by-play action of Justin Verlander, dominating the Birds, who are probably going to be celebrating late tonight, or they probably already done celebrating, but so we'll see what type of lineup they have. But guys, thank you for making Locked On Astros podcast your first listen every day. I thank you for subscribing to us on YouTube and making us your first listen on Apple, Odyssey, Spotify, wherever you listen to your podcast. Go and check out the Locked On Astros podcast, and we are here for you all postseason, all off season. We're gonna be your go-to people. So if you're frustrated, if you're like, what's going on? But we do need to have a couple days off. Just saying. So that's all we got, and we'll see you next time on this edition on Locked On Astros podcast. And go Astros.